July of 2021, Ben Shapiro and Malcolm Nance appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher. During their conversation about race, a number of things were said which had nothing to do with the broader topic, but rather pointed to a foundational truth about this country which generally goes unacknowledged. This country is not, nor has it ever been, a meritocracy. To me, the important and interesting facts revealed during their exchange are as follows. 1. Ben Shapiro believes that America is and has indeed been a meritocracy. D. Malcolm Nance's great-great-grandfather was a slave. 6. Ben Shapiro sleeps on a bed made of money. I'm assuming point 6 is going to confuse many of you. But that's how Ben chose to respond to a snide comment from Malcolm towards the end of their exchange, by telling Malcolm that's how he'll comfort himself later that night, by sleeping on a bed made of money. Aside from Ben's attempt to make a fallacious argument from popularity, his comment is a real instance of kicking a man while he's down, or pouring salt in the wound, especially when the topic they were discussing was race. Ben imagines and proudly announces, for our edification, that his wealth is an indicator of his value as a person. What does Ben do which has enabled him to acquire his vast wealth? He shoots his mouth off. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking that. I do the same, obviously. The difference is that I never imagined my ability to earn my income by shooting my mouth off as anything but a tremendous bit of dumb luck. I'm not sleeping on a bed made of money, though, am I? I actually sleep on a ridiculously cheap bed which came in a box and is more comfortable than I ever imagined. I'll put a link in the description below. Ben talks really fast in a monotonous tone, is genuinely clever, has found an audience which rewards prickery, and has eyebrows that scare the shit out of absolutely every person on the planet, which is exactly the opposite effect of my high whiny voice. So I do appreciate his gifts. But if we're talking about genuine merit and value in our society, and having one's income accurately reflect that value, boy, you know, I just don't see how Ben can top Malcolm's 20 years of service in our armed forces and intelligence agencies, having protected this country and been actually willing to give his life to do so. Although Ben probably risks his health sitting on his ass so much day in and day out. They say that's more dangerous than smoking now. Have you heard that? So be careful, Ben. Make sure you get up and walk around every now and then. The salt in the wound is that Ben learned earlier in their conversation that Malcolm's great-great-grandfather was a slave, which means generations of Malcolm's ancestors were excluded from the imagined meritocracy which people like Ben, whose ancestors were not enslaved, have been exploiting to their advantage for the last 400 years. What we can know for sure is that Malcolm's ancestors worked harder than any other group of people in America, in the absolute worst way imaginable, at the end of a whip, and entirely against their will. I don't know Malcolm's particular family history, but this could have gone on for the entire 246 years of slavery. And throughout that time, Malcolm's ancestors would have received absolutely nothing for all their backbreaking labor, with the exception of a few meals a day, a place to sleep, and the complete theft of their wages, dignity, rights, and freedom. Had Malcolm's ancestors not been robbed of absolutely everything for hitch knows how long, his ancestors would have earned a wage, which they could have invested in property or a business, created a bit of wealth, and passed that wealth on to their children and grandchildren, ultimately leaving Malcolm in a position where he was far more likely than Ben to be the one sleeping on a bed made of money. Is there anything quite so wonderful or comforting as old money? Can I get a witness? Sorry, just misread that. It's no wonder that people like Ben prefer to think they've been living in a meritocracy. Nothing transforms good fortune into presumed value like the delusion of a level playing field. Ben Shapiro, or as I'll call him from now on, Sleeping Ugly, is really not unique. His fame simply makes his privilege a bit more obvious and grotesque. Shoving his wealth in the face of a man whose ancestors were excluded from Ben's imagined meritocracy is just the most recent and shameful example. Once again, I may Thanks for watching.